Hello, welcome to Inside Humphreys County. I'm Daryl Mosley. I'm the Executive Director of the Humphreys County Chamber of Commerce. And our guest this week is Dr. Linda Baty, who is the veterinarian with the East Brook Animal Clinic. Dr. Baty, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
You have been at East Brook for how long?
We opened in 1997, September of 97.
So it's been there doing business for a long time.
Over 17 years.
Of course, there's so many animal lovers in the community. So I'm sure that it's a great service for them. How'd you end up? Was this something you grew up around animals and just wanted to do?
I grew up with a lot of animals, yes. My mother was raised on a farm. We didn't have a farm, but I tried to make it one. Have always known that's what I was going to do. You know, this isn't, I'm lucky in that, you know, after 30-odd years, I can still get up in the morning and enjoy going to work.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it is. I don't consider it work. This is what I do. This is my life. So, yes, we enjoy it.
I've always wondered if it's difficult in your line of work. You know, different from a medical doctor in that all humans are in essence the same, but you treat any number of different animals, right?
Yeah, I have friends that are MDs, and one on vacation a couple of years ago said, "Don't you get bored just treating dogs and cats?" And her husband, who's also a physician, looked over and said, "Honey, you only do one species."
Exactly.
She does 10.
Right, exactly.
Yes. And so, yeah, you never know what's going to walk through the door or crawl through the door or fly through the door or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, it's fun. Different every day.
Oh, I bet that's true. I absolutely bet that's true. I've always wondered how that, you would adjust. I mean, if an animal that's coming in and it's injured or it's sick, and of course they're often domestic pets are very protective of their
owners.
Is that a difficult? I mean, to calm them down and can kind of get them settled in.
Occasionally, we probably treat. The first thing is to treat pain. The second thing is probably to calm them and the owner down. They feed off of emotions, and if the owner, a lot of times the animal is not that upset. I've seen them walk in terribly injured, going, "I screwed up," and the owner is the one that's flipping out at that point. And so, the first thing is to make sure the pet is stable and out of pain, and then deal with the rest of it. And truly, I had a friend tell me once, and I'd never thought about it before, but if the animal knows you're helping, I don't get bitten very often. I mean, really, it doesn't happen that often. It does happen, but it doesn't happen often. And so, we're trying to recognize things and evaluate the situation and, hopefully diffuse some of those things. But, they do know, I think they know that we're trying to help. Makes it easier.
They do seem very in tune to the emotional environment.
Oh, sure. If the owner, a lot of times I will say, either calm down or step outside. And because the animals tend to pick up on them, and if the owner is upset, then the animal is upset, and that makes it more difficult. And most of them do learn to keep their voice, at a lower octave, which is hard in some cases.
Sure, it's an animal that you love dearly is in distress.
Sure, it's a family member.
Sure.
Yeah. The state, we still consider animals property. There are a few states, California is probably the first, that's trying to make them legally companions, which makes it a whole different ball game as far as what you can do. But they are our families. We treat them as such, and that's what we like to do with the clinic. That's what that's one of my mottos is I treat them just like I would my pets.
Now, I'm assuming that, of course, the domestic dogs and cats is probably a lot of what you see. But, of course, in this community where we have horses and cows and that sort of thing, you do that as well?
I do not do large animal anymore. I did for 13 years and then decided if the body was going to hold up long enough to see retirement, I probably needed to switch to something else. So just in the last 20 years, been that long. I now just do small animal, companion animals. Waverly Animal Clinic does large animals. They do a great job with the horses and cattle, and it's where I usually send all of the ones that call in for that. But yes, just dogs and cats, pocket pets, hamsters, gerbils, guinea pigs, the little guys, an occasional bird, occasional fish, occasional snake. sometimes other things walk through the door. It's kind of strange, but they do. And we wing it. I've been doing it long enough that I've probably seen the majority of them.
Right.
So, I either know what to do or where to send it. One of the two.
Now, obviously, with people who are, very attached to their pets, and they're taking care of them, make sure that they have their shots and their vaccinations and that sort of thing. Are there things that for somebody who is a new pet owner or a novice pet owner that we would tend to overlook that we should probably be aware of before it becomes a more serious issue?
That's probably it. Animals cover up so much because in the animal world, showing weakness can get you eaten by the larger animal. And so they cover up a lot of illnesses, and a lot of people that are new to it do not, my cat hasn't moved in 2 days. It doesn't look sick, it's just sitting there. Well, if it's doing what it normally wouldn't do, then there's probably something wrong. And, in order to do something about it in time to save it, we probably need to see them quicker. That and choosing the right pet. Pets and Christmas coming up, I want to say that I don't like to see pets given as Christmas presents. They're considered a toy and treated as such. I figure when I get a dog or a cat, I'm in it for the next 15, to 18 years, hopefully. And you need to think about whether that Mastiff is going to do well in your apartment. And that happens because they see the cute fuzzy puppy and they get it, not thinking about what it's going to be, in a year. And so, you don't always get the right mix. And so you do need to do your research before you even get one. And we do a lot of coaching on that. I've got 3 vet techs that work for me. They are certified technicians. We have them on staff at all times so that they can talk to people. They handle a lot of my emergency calls at night now, which helps me get a little more sleep.
That's a good thing.
Yes. Things have changed a little. They field them. An emergency shouldn't be what time do you open in the morning, so I can get there before work. Those do come through, and so they field a lot of those for me. But we try to take care of everybody's pets just like they were ours. I have to say I have a wonderful staff to work with. I now have 8 people besides myself, and then a couple of volunteers. We work with a couple of high school kids with a veterinary science program. And it's always good to have the younger ones in there because it's like you see it through their eyes for the first time, and it's something you've been doing for years that you don't think is exciting anymore. When you show it to a kid that's never seen it before, it's like, wow, that is pretty cool.
Oh, that is neat. Has the veterinary world changed over the past 20 years like most industries have?
I've been in the business for 32 years, and it's changed a lot. When I was in school, at the time, about 1/4 of the class was women. It's probably over 90% now nationwide women. And at the time I was in school, we were told that we would make it about 5 years. And then we would quit, start families, that kind of thing. Well, I hate being told I can't do something. And then we were told, about 10 years after that, well, okay, maybe you're going to stay in it longer, but you're not going to ever own a practice. Well, that changed to, okay, maybe you will own a practice, but you won't start it. And then it's, okay, so y'all are doing that too. Yes, it's changed. When I came here, in fact, I came to Humphreys County in '82. I think my major in vet school was equine, horses. We have a lot of backyard horses, and we have a few good-sized horse farms, but, you end up doing everything, and after a few years, you decide there are other things you like to do. Right. And so that's, the reason. But we probably did more large animal work, and the pets were kind of a secondary thing. Now that's primary. That's what I do. That is what I do every day. And yes, people, it's amazing. They do take care of them like their family. I won't say they're kids. Of course, I have a lot of people that call themselves the dog's mommy and daddy, but
Right.
they're not the same as children, but at the same time, they are very, very close. It's like they're best friends. And so, yeah, you treat them as such.
Wow. So, I mean, I guess, of course, you have to run the full gamut of situations where when you actually have to finally put a pet to sleep, you know, having to deal with the emotional side of that with
Yes.
the owner and all of that.
Yes, yes. Have just gone through something like that recently. An excellent client, excellent pet that has been diabetic for 9 years. He was 14 and then developed another problem, cancer. And, you know, it was emotional for the whole staff. But I feel that's, I hate to say it, in the old days, which I was around in those old days, it probably wasn't given a second thought. And now, after having been through it several times myself, you have to empathize. You know that there's a big hole left when they're gone. And like I say, I can't say enough that my staff makes phone calls to them. You know, you check up on them later. In the days when we did mostly farm work, I guess the dog went off and died, or the neighbor came over and took care of it for you. But yeah, it's changed a whole lot in that sense.
Is there still there used to be, I guess, a push, you know, to encourage people to, you know, spay or neuter their animals?
Oh, yeah.
You still
Yes.
encourage that. Do we still have a problem? Is there a problem with that here?
There's always a problem. There will always be a problem. We try. I know occasionally I'll have someone move into town that breeds a certain breed of dog, and I'll go, man, I haven't dealt with that in a long time. My first thing is there are enough out there. Let's spay and neuter as many as we can. When you breed, they should be the best. They should be high quality, not just for money. And I guess that's what I was getting at before, is that, yes, they're our property. The law says that's what it is, but I don't like making money off of my pets.
Right.
And a lot of times the pets that are the best pets do not make the best mothers. They're pets.
Right.
Yes.
I understand.
You know, but we still have lots of new puppies coming in, and I see a lot of great purebred puppies, but I just encourage people that if for the sake of the animal and their health, go ahead and have them spayed and neutered. Believe me, even if it's a little bitty one and they say it can't get out the door, it can get out the door and will get out the door.
Right.
And then we have 3 more of them. So, you know, other states have gotten a handle on it. In the South, we have not got a handle on it yet.
Yeah.
So you still see a lot of animals running around loose.
Yeah, that whole roaming dog thing is still fairly.
Yes. And it doesn't matter how many laws you pass. You have to have somebody to back it up. You have to be able to enforce it.
Right.
So yes, we have laws, but it is so much better than it used to be.
Right.
Okay, so much better than it used to be. But for their health and for overpopulation, we do encourage spays and neuters all the time. Yes. Yeah.
So if you had to do it over again, would you still do what you're doing now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is me. This is what I do. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you for what you bring to the community. I will tell you, I'm not a pet owner. You know, have been when I was a child, but I traveled a lot, and it just didn't make sense for us.
That.
But most of my family are, and most of them come see you.
I appreciate that you know that it wouldn't be good for one. You know, a pet is not something you love for a little while and then put on the shelf when you go out of town for 3 days. It doesn't work that way. Right. And more people should think about that before they get them. But yeah, I would do it all over again. Would I do a few things differently? Possibly, but I love what I do. This is what I do.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for
being
here. This was very
Thank
interesting. Dr. Linda Baty with the Eastbrook Animal Clinic, our guest today on Inside Humphreys County. We'll see you next week.